Good morning, coffee hangout. Are you one of those people in a relationship where you constantly are trying to get your partner to be better, do better, or even just try to help them with the things that they are struggling with in their life? Today, I kind of want to talk about why that's such a danger. And then I want to talk about how we can do it differently that could be effective for our relationship. So often I see couples coming into me, and the fight is about that the other person just isn't getting things done in a way that's going to be helpful for the relationship. And so, what ends up happening is, I think as a couple, uh, each person feels some kind of way about it. The person who is being corrected or try in a situation where they're dealing with whatever scenario they're having to deal with, whatever hardship, let's call it an addiction, but it could be a lot of different things. Maybe they're just not good at communicating, right? Whatever it is that they're dealing with that hardship. Plus, they're dealing with their partner who is having a hard time with what is going on with their partner. Why? Because it scares them and it doesn't feel like a secure relationship. And so you have all of these scenarios that are going on, and at the end of the day, you end up creating a pressure scenario that looks a whole lot like what we describe as codependency in our relationship counseling. And so, what is codependency? Codependency is basically three bases, and so each base has a role, and the roles are perpetrator, rescuer, and victim. And so, at any point in time, one person goes to the other base, another person goes to the next base, and nobody argues about what base. So two people are playing three bases, and you constantly just move around those bases. And that's happening mostly because um, in this current relationship, it's happening not feeling secure, and you're trying to grasp onto something. And so you grasp onto the interaction of codependency. Well, that's not really effective for our long term relationship. In fact, it's grinding at the goodness of your relationship because you're so focused on what the problems is, your relationship becomes a problem. So it gets scary because over a long period of time, the question that you're going to end up asking is where has my relationship gone? What's happened? Why are we so disconnected? How come I have so much resentment? It's a lot of scenarios that start happening inside of the relationship that you just um, could totally avoid if you had a full understanding of how to do it differently and could develop different ways of being uh, in that kind of relationship. And so, what are some of the ways that we can actually be healthier about the way that we are supporting our partner? So, first of all, I think it's being able to admit that you don't really have the ability to control what somebody else is doing. And most people know that, but less of us in relationships that are struggling are really admitting that or aware of it in the moments that we're trying to pursue getting our partner to do something different. And so you have to be able to admit that first. The second thing is it's worth looking at, are you avoiding something? So a lot of times we're going in hard at our partners because we're avoiding something that's on the inside. And so what's usually on the inside is it could be as simple as um, the insecurity feeling that you have that needs to be worked on, or that you individually need to be worked on. And it can't come from the outside. Otherwise, you're going to always require it to come from the outside. So the solution to your insecurity problem has to be an inside out type scenario. So that's another thing or another part of you being able to say, okay, what's on the inside? But it could be another thing, which is um, in your relationship, besides the insecurity factor in your relationship, you can just kind of think, or your body at least feels like, I can't have a good relationship, right? And because I can't have a good relationship, I need to make sure that my partner is a problem, has a problem, and will be a problem. And so, because of that you keep paying attention to that scenario and not giving yourself a chance to see some of the goodness that your partner has and or some of the goodness that you can do inside of your relationship. So both of those are kind of scary scenarios, but those are the most common ones that I see, that will help you start looking at something different. Okay. And then the last thing that I think helps you to start leading towards a more healthy kind of interaction is looking at some of the lies that you're accidentally telling yourself to get to the place of trying to control your partner and or trying to fix your partner's issues, right? So one of the lies that we tell ourselves is that we can fix our partner's issues. You can't fix your partner's issues. Your partner has to fix their own issues. Another lie that you tell yourself is that I can't go on if my partner doesn't fix their issues. Like I can't move forward in this relationship if they never change, right? So that's another lie that we tell ourselves. And the last lie that I think is the most impactful is that I can't handle it or I can't deal with it, right? And one of the truths that I need you to have is that you're super capable of being able to build yourself on the inside so that you can have an influence on the outside in your relationship with your partner and with everybody else around you, really. Okay. And so that actually kind of leads us into the next idea, which is the ultimate way of us being able to do things in a healthy way. If you think about the three things we fight about, their significance, control, and abandonment, your partner is battling those things when they have something, some kind of issue that you're trying to fix. They're battling those three things. So, us being in an alarmed mode doesn't necessarily create a situation where those three things have a security blanket around them. As a matter of fact, they create more distance. So, if you're not accepting of your partner, automatically your partner's body says like alarm, alarm, abandonment coming, right? Disconnect coming, because that person doesn't accept you or they don't know you or whatever that scenario is that's happening. And so we get in this situation where we are really pursuing the fixing, but we're creating an anxiety around those three things that we naturally fight about: significance, control, and abandonment. What if you could actually create security in your relationship by developing on the inside those things that look like significance, control, and connectedness? What if you were able to develop those on the inside and be an aura of that scenario or a hub of that scenario versus a battling point for your partner? Okay. I think it switches everything. I know it switches everything. It's up to you to get to a point where your focus is more on the inside about what your heart and mind are doing versus what your partner is doing that's scary to you. Okay. And so if we're able to switch that around, we start becoming a little bit more infectious in a different way. So if you think about like all the pressure that we're putting on trying to fix on ourselves and on our partner and on our relationship, if you have that kind of influence and you see your relationship is stressed out, think about the influence you can have if you flipped it, right? And so that's the ultimate, is if you're willing to flip it, and if you can flip it, and do the work, that means that you could stay focused on being able to grow yourself so that you are a place or a hub to be safe with, to be connected with, to feel in control and in a place where we can actually move forward. What if you were that inside of your relationship? It would change everything, right? So, not a difficult task or not an easy task. It's a very difficult task. And I know that because um, I think if it was easy, that's what people would go to all the time. The truth is, we're used to telling other people how to behave so that we can be okay. And so we'll continue to struggle with that in our relationship frequently. Okay. And so here's the thing that I want you to get more than anything. The situation I want you to get is, in the long run, if you're going to get what you want out of your relationship, and you're not going to end in scenarios that mean that you are disconnected or that you are grinding away at the goodness of your relationship, where you want to spend time and you can be each other's source of strength versus each other's idea of running from, right? The more that you the more that you focus on what you're doing on the inside and become somebody who can be uh, goodness, then we're going to be in a good spot. And so, really work on that scenario to build your relationship more than you do anything else. And so, um, continue to do the individual growth that you have to do, continue to do the communication that you have to do that represents building a sense of connection, that represents building a sense of letting your partner know they're important to you, right? Continue to build a scenario that gives your partner a sense of autonomy and control over their own life, and then also each gives you a chance to control what's going on in your life in a different kind of way. All right, I want you guys to share your experience with this as you go and try it in your relationships. Go ahead and leave in the comments about what has been effective for you and what has not, and then hit your like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. We'll talk to you guys soon.